Hello. All right. EZRA Innovations, LLC, we are a generic drug development company. We are making generics of branded drugs, primarily in the controlled release segment. We have our novel drug delivery technologies licensed from UAMS, invented by Dr. Kim. You want to talk about the technology briefly, Dr. Kim? Just your mathematic design.
I brought this morning Krispy Kreme donuts.
Yeah. Here.
The rest of the world is listening.
So here's donuts you eat every week or every day, even this morning. Did you see something unique design? Have you noticed that? No, maybe not. This is a lifesaver. Have you ever used this one before? So this is a lifesaver. You may use this one a few times, but you never notice that. Common design, donuts, and this one, it has hole in it, right? When you put this one into mouth, what's going to happen?
Dissolves.
Dissolve. How it dissolve?
Saliva.
No, I mean the way this tablet is going to dissolve.
The way the hole.
Okay. When you put this one into mouth, how is this one going to dissolve? Have you thought of this one? So when you put this one into your mouth, this is going to dissolve slowly, maybe 5 minutes or 10 minutes. However, if you take a look at this one very, very carefully, you have a tablet in a hole. Outside diameter going to be smaller. You got it? It could dissolve, right? Inside hole, diameter going to be bigger. So when you do grade 5, I don't know whether it's smarter than grade 5. If you do grade 5 mathematics, just calculate 2 pi r squared, right? Then you're going to have same surface area all the time, maintained from time 0 to time n, which give you constant surface area. The main problem tablet you're taking, sustained release, once a day tablets, or twice a day tablets, tablet going to be dissolved slowly over 12 hours or 20 hours. However, tablet size going to be tablet size going to be smaller and smaller, right? Which means surface area going to be smaller and smaller, which means amount of drug coming out from the tablet going to be less and less. So you're not going to have the same amount of drug coming out of tablet. So medication you're getting from tablet is not going to be same. This morning, you take that one, you have a lot of dose coming out from tablet. Maybe afternoon, late evening, if it's once a tablet, drug is not that much coming out. So medication you have is not same in the morning and afternoon, evening. So my design of tablet, so when I saw this one several years ago, because I did grade 5 mathematics, so I know the problem of tablets, okay? So I designed a tablet like this one, which give you constant surface area all the time. You are going to get same amount of drug you're taking. Coming out of this one, the medication going to be same all the time. This is technology. Simple, straightforward. You don't need anything else. Already there's that lifesaver product out there. There are a lot of machines able to make this one. There's a company who sells the machines. Okay? Simple. I like it simple. I'm an engineer. So engineer, what engineers do? They design all this. What kind of engineers they job? What kind of job they have? What they do every day?
Mathematics.
They use mathematics. Right? So I do everyday mathematics to figure it out what's wrong with the tablet. So you have to see what's wrong with the tablet first. Then you design better. This is it.
Great,
So
Dr. Kim. Thank you. All right, so what I'm going to explain is the actual business opportunity. We have this novel technology we've licensed from the University of Arkansas Medical Sciences. We've got the ability to take drugs that are traditionally given 3 times a day and put them in a once-a-day format. Concurrently, we can look at branded drugs that were taken from a twice-a-day format, moved into a once-a-day, and essentially genericize those without stepping on their patents. I knew when I licensed this technology, wonderful technology, I needed to have a team that could move it to the finish line. The team I recruited, personally, they've developed over 200 generic drugs before joining EZRA. Professional experience comes from Merck, Teva, Watson. Watson's a leading generic drug company, Johnson & Johnson. The management team I put together, Dr. Kim is a shareholder in EZRA. Myself, the CEO, I brought a number of over-the-counter and RX drugs to the market. Joe Fix, some of you met yesterday. He comes to us. He was the director of Merck, ran worldwide R&D for Yamanouchi and Elan. Dr. Shaw cannot join us, neither of the rest of the EZRA team. All right, to understand what a generic drug is, you probably heard generics, and many of times you might have gone to the doctor's office, handed the prescription of your drug, and been substituted automatically with the generic. All right, the reason why we're following the generic drug route for approval with this technology is the fact that in 1984, Congress and the FDA got together and passed what's called the Hatch-Waxman Act. That essentially outlined a clear process on what it takes to get a generic drug approved. It's a shorter, less expensive path of approval to the market than a traditional new drug application, which could take 7 to 10 years and spend over $1 billion. A new drug or abbreviated new drug application, typically you're testing between 36 and 50 subjects, and all you're looking at is the blood levels of your medicine as compared to the innovator or the brand's, the way it releases in the blood. Okay, this process is so clear-cut on getting a generic drug approved. There's been over 20,000 abbreviated new drug applications approved to date, essentially generic drugs. What is a super generic? All right, we are not targeting Walmart $4 generic drugs. We're looking at branded drugs that have the most difficult controlled release technology. Okay, Ambien is a simpler example. I'll throw this out there because it's non-confidential. But what the Ambien franchise was doing, they sold over $1 billion a year. Okay, they had a patent on the chemical compound zolpidem tartrate. 3 years prior to their patent expiring, okay, they knew they were going to lose all the market share to the generic competition because Ambien was just easy to genericize. So what they did was they came up with a controlled release technology. 3 years prior to their patent expiring, they relaunched the Ambien franchise into what's called Ambien CR. So they had their 15,000 sales reps migrate it to the CR form, and they kept $1 billion in sales while the Ambien simple form was genericized. Okay, recently a generic has been approved for Ambien CR. They've managed to take $400 million of that $1 billion in sales. So other controlled release or extended release franchises that are out there, okay, we're not necessarily targeting them, but these are examples. The Foclin franchise from Novartis, all that was basically, remember the drug Ritalin from the 80s and 90s? Okay. The children were dosed in the morning, the children were dosed in the night. Okay, so you'd have to pull them out of class at 8 a.m. and then pull them out of class at 2:30. Okay, Novartis relaunched this methylphenidate franchise in their own brand called Foclin. It's nothing more than a once-a-day franchise. It's doing $400 million a year in sales. Concerta is the same thing. It's nothing more than methylphenidate delivered in a once-a-day form. That's doing $1.7 billion in worldwide sales. Okay, there's a number of drugs representing 300 million to 1 billion in annual sales that we can look at to genericize with our controlled release technology. All right, another reason why we like generics. Okay, not only is it an easier path through the FDA than a new drug application, it's a pull-through market. Okay, there are 10 insurance companies that control 70% of the covered lives in America. Okay, so that's Aetna, Humana, Blue Cross, Blue Shield. Okay, these guys decide what you're actually going to take. Okay, if the doctor writes you a prescription for Ambien, okay, you're going to take that to the pharmacist. You're going to hand him your script. What's going to happen is he's going to look at your ID card, see what insurance you have, plug it into the database. That's tied right back into the insurers. And if there's a generic available, it'll be an automatic substitution. And the insurer will pay the pharmacy a rebate. So the pharmacies are incentivized for automatic substitution. All right, there's also another reason why we like this market. Not only do you have to talk to the top 10 insurance companies, you have to get your pills stocked. Okay, it has to be stocked in the pharmacy. One way your tablets can be stocked, there are 3 major wholesalers that you need to negotiate your pricing with. Now, Walmart's gotten into the game. Okay, they're about 33% of the wholesale market, and Walgreens is getting into the game as well. So the distribution chains are already built for generic drugs. We have the government on our side and the consumer on our side. All right, just to reiterate what we're doing here, this drug, remember the Ambien example? Let's just use the Lamictal example. Okay, the active chemical with Lamictal is lamotrigine. Okay, so they invent, the first 3 years they invent. It takes them 3 years to get their patent approved. So patent issues, they have 17 years of patent life remaining. Okay, what they're doing is they're writing the patent life on that. And then they develop the extended release form. They probably could have made the extended release or the better new and improved version day one, but it's all about brand and franchise protection with the branded companies. So they introduced Lamictal XR, convert the market. Right about that time, 3 years prior, EZRA is looking at how we could genericize a Lamictal XR. All right. Here's not everybody can make a generic to a controlled release drug. There's many hurdles in place. What's happening here is, for example, Johnson & Johnson utilized a technology called the Oros tablet technology for the Concerta franchise. Okay. Novartis utilizes their microcapsule technology. GlaxoSmithKline bought this technology on the bottom from a university out of Manchester, UK. What each one of these technologies are good for, they've been designed specifically for that franchise extension. Okay, they may be able to do Concerta, but they may not be able to mimic GSK's system or be able to mimic Novartis' system. Okay, the EZRA technology allows us to mimic all 3 of these. Another key take-home point here is if you look at that Concerta tablet right there, that's about 1 micron thick. There's a little hole at the top of that. And then there's a gel layer on the bottom, which acts as a push layer. This is incredibly expensive to manufacture on a per tablet basis. Okay, I'm guesstimating it's about 49, 50 cents per tablet. Okay, EZRA's coming at about 18, 19 cents per tablet. Okay, huge difference. Okay, Novartis, this is, you have 50 little microbeads here that you need to get exactly right. The quality control issues involved in this microcapsule technology are unbelievable. This DiffyCore system, GlaxoSmithKline is basically, they've said publicly that they're putting all their weight in this tablet technology. You know, it's pretty funny here that EZRA, back in our labs, is able to duplicate every one of their drugs. All right, so covered this. All right, so our opportunity is, if we're going to genericize these guys, we can't use their technology, or else we're probably going to get sued. We need another solution to the problem. And that comes in with Dr. Kim's technology. He explained the donut tablet technology. We have, and by the way, that is approved. The patent has been approved on that. And we have other patent-pending drug delivery technologies where we may utilize on occasion for a particular drug. Also, our drug release is just like the branded drugs. Okay, so when we're doing our laboratory experiments and designing our drugs, we're actually looking at the brand and the brand's dissolution profile and how it releases, and exactly comparing it with our drug technology. All right, what we have to do for FDA approval on our drug, the FDA and their generic guidelines to the industry, they allow us a 20% window with a 40% confidence interval. And what we're doing here is, if this is the brand's release, okay, in the circle and the triangle hollow points, for us to be FDA approved, we need to be within 20% above or below these marks. Okay, these are two separate drug franchises, by the way. All right, EZRA is in the filled-in colors. So that means our line would have to come this way or come that way. Okay, as you see in these experiments right here, we're clearly within 5%. Okay.
Mike, could you repeat that so the rest of the...
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, okay. So what I'm showing here, this laser pointer really isn't showing up. Sorry about that.
Use the pointer on the computer. It should be able to work.
Yeah. Yeah, so what you're seeing here is the branded, the branded is the hollow point, okay? And then you're seeing the filled-in slots, that's EZRA's laboratory experiments. The FDA tells us we need to achieve, we need to be within 20% and a 40% confidence interval of this line, okay? So that means we can 20% this way or 20% that way. Okay, these experiments are telling us we're clearly within 5%. Okay. Okay, this is a schematic from our patent. I'm not going to go too far into this. The fact that we have issued intellectual property on our drug delivery technologies is huge for EZRA. I'm moving through these things rapidly. The key take home is all these different curves you're seeing, they're incredibly hard to match, okay? And that's what we're doing. We're matching these within 5% on each one of these drugs. Now, all these drugs might not make sense for us to develop. You know, Toprol, huge drug. You know, it's already genericized, but there's room to play. We've tested over 20 different drugs. 4 of them are in our sweet spot right now. That may change in another 2 or 3 years, but we have our lead drug identified, which we're looking to move into manufacturing at the end of next month. So some advantages of our technology. This is readily manufacturable. Okay, this technology is ready to go in manufacturing right now. We can do multiple generic drugs. We can even do 505(b)(2)s. What a 505(b)(2) is, it's essentially the regulatory pathway provided by the FDA, which it's a pharmacokinetic study where you're taking it twice a day and making it a once a day, or changing some sort of route of administration or dosage form with chemical. Our lead drug targets are selling over $2 billion in branded sales. Generic versions of that typically account for 70% when they hit in the market. All our targets have difficult formulations to match. We want to be the first, could be the second or third generic to the market. When you're the fourth, fifth, more like fifth and sixth, that's when the price points on generics fall. Okay, that's when it becomes a $4 Walmart generic drug. This is an example of another drug we've looked at. It's doing $883 million in sales. Let me get this. That means it has to sell 103 million little tablets at a price of $8.51 a tablet. Okay, we can manufacture this tablet for about 18 cents. It's a huge margin. 30-day supply of this is $255. If the first generic came into the market, being EZRA, or EZRA's partner, let's say it's 50% of the market we can gather at a 20% discount to the brand, because you have to give the insurance companies a reason to uptake your generic. We're looking at 353 million. All right, so that's 51 million units at a price of $6.81 per little white tablet. So that'd be $204 for a 30-day supply. So there's huge margin. There's risk, but each drug has its caveats. What we're looking to do right now, those graphs I showed you earlier where we're within 5% of the branded drug, all right, that gives us an 80% confidence level that we're going to pass a bioequivalence study. What we're doing is essentially a pilot study. Okay, this is a practice study before we move into the trial that the FDA wants us to conduct. The FDA is looking for us to conduct a bioequivalence trial. That's when they give our stamp of approval. You're basically a generic. Well, we're going to do a practice study in India, all right? And what we're going to do, the reason why we're going to India is it's about 30 cents on the dollar per subject, okay? Much less expensive. We're going to test 3 of our formulations, one that exactly mimics the brand, one that's 20% above, and one 20% below that curve I showed you. All 3 of those may be able to pass our bioequivalence trial for the FDA, but we know at least we're going to optimize and bracket in what our idea formulation is for generic approval on our lead drug. We hope to conduct that in January and February. Okay, our manufacturing batches should be ready. And this bioequivalence trial we hope to conduct in April. All right. Shortly afterwards, we're going to be submitting our application to the FDA for generic drug approval. We're expecting a milestone payment from a partner. What we want to do is put in place a strategic partner for distribution and assistance on manufacturing. Okay, where we're at with that is our lawyers are working on finalizing the agreement. Sometime in the summer next year, we're going to reload the pipeline with drug number 2. Okay. We have to wait. Now we're in about month 35 of our development plan. But we have to wait. Essentially what we're waiting on is for the FDA to get around and review our packet for approval. Okay, we may know it meets the guidelines, but the FDA, the generic division's undermanned right now, so it could take them 2 years, could take them 18 months for them to get around to our packet for approval. We're not the first company to do this. I want to tell a little story about a company called Anshin. Okay, Li Chen, this fellow, he worked at Barr Laboratories, which is a big generic drug outfit. He had come up with an idea to genericize the brand Wellbutrin XL. All right, so Li Chen went back to Hong Kong and borrowed some money from his mother, roughly around $4 million. And he came up with a generic version of Wellbutrin XL, made a licensing deal with Teva. Teva, the generic partner, by the way, Teva is the world's largest generic drug company. They handled distribution, product insurance, and any litigation that could arise. This little small 4-man outfit made $84 million a year for 3 years. Okay, during that time, they built a pipeline, much like EZRA's trying to do. Wall Street Journal last month just reported they sold their company for $410 million. Okay, that's pretty good for a small investment. EZRA's a little different. I feel we've got just as good of a team, but we've got another benefit is we've got Dr. Kim right here, and we have patented technology. Okay, that's something Anshin didn't have. So in total, these financials tell us we're looking to raise $6.5 million, and we're still sticking to that. Okay, things could change. A strategic partner could come in and offset some of our costs and some of our burden. We're expecting a $3 million milestone payment from our strategic partner at the end of that bioequivalence study. And then on drug 2 would be, in year 3, we'd be expecting another $3 million payment from a strategic partner. By the way, these milestone payments from the strategic partners trying to get rights to market your drug are widely supported in the press. Okay, I've seen them as high as $50 million. Okay, so there's a number of examples out there. Year 4 of our operations, what we're looking at is our first 2 drugs are hitting Q3 and Q4 of that year, and we're hoping they'll do 60. The first drug will do 60 million or 80 million. Yeah, 60 million in revenue, and the second one will do 25 million in revenue. All right. So how are we going to exit EZRA? We're not thinking about IPOs right now. It's been our experience in the big pharma and the generic industry that these guys all grow through acquisition. Okay, I think a Stevens investment, Arrow, was just acquired by Watson Pharmaceuticals, if that's correct. Anshin was just acquired by Par Laboratories for $410 million. What we're seeing here is the branded companies want to get in the generic guy space, and the generic companies like to get in the brand guy space and also grow through acquisition. Okay, so if you look at a company like Johnson & Johnson, they have a $200 billion market cap. Okay, Johnson & Johnson is basically 10 guys in New Jersey that rolled up 27 companies, let them run as subsidiaries, and they do all the reporting to Wall Street. So we believe that's going to happen with EZRA. The reason why we believe it is if we look at the acquisitions that have gone on in the past 3-4 years. In January, Paddock Labs just acquired Perigo. They had revenue of $200 million. Their price, they paid $540 million, 2.7 times revenue multiple. Another good acquisition, Ranbaxy, an Indian drug maker, was acquired by Daiichi Sankyo. They had revenue of $1.5 billion. They paid a multiple of 4.1 times revenue. Par Labs just acquired Anshin. Okay, this was a pretty good acquisition for Anshin. Revenue of $110 million, $410 million acquisition price. That's a 3.7 time multiple. And then Teva is one I ignored. They acquired Bentley. Bentley only had $133 million in revenue. Their acquisition price was $343 million in revenue. So this is a very active market for acquisitions. Okay, this is how the industry grows. What we want to do as a company is we want to prove the value of the technology. We want to get our applications to the FDA submitted. We want to get a pipeline of drugs developed. And year 4, our first drug will be hitting the market. So hopefully that increases our valuation where we're on the leading edge of that 3x multiple on our exit event. We're targeting our exit event for year 4, year 5. This is a hypothetical example of a return on investment. Right now we're selling a unit of ownership for $100,000, which equals 0.615% of the company. From the previous slides, if you look at the exit valuations, on average are running at 3 times sales revenue. Our projections year 4 are $85 million. So if we had a 3x multiple on $85 million, that'd be $255 million. Okay, so taking account year 4 revenues, that'd be a 16 times return on the investment. Now, if you look at our technology and what we can do year 5 we're anticipating yearly revenue of $255 million. So if we can make it, a 3x on $255 million gets outrageous. Okay, but what we are looking at is we think it's very realistic to be in the Anshin scope, where we're getting out of this company for anywhere from $400 million to $500 million. We've got a great blueprint with Anshin. All right. So we, as a company, again, we're looking for $6.5 million. $2.8 million has been raised. Post-money valuation of $16.25 million. Our next steps. We're almost done. I got one more slide, Mike. All right. So we have an ongoing capital raise. We're finalizing our strategic partner arrangement. Q1, we're going to conduct our pilot study. Q2, bioequivalence study for our first generic begins. Why EZRA? Due diligence targets has been completed. Strategic partners in place. Ready to go into manufacturing, and huge upside potential on our generics and our line extensions. Thank you.
Very exciting.
Donuts, anyone?
We got time for maybe one question. We're going to take a break, but we might just, if the questions come, we can handle those through the break. Okay. But we do have a 10-minute break scheduled here. Any questions? Can you talk about your strategic partners? Or is that?
Yeah, we can. They're a $1 billion international company, multinational company. They have branded drugs. They have injectable drugs. They have multi-dose $4 Walmart generic drugs. What they don't have is extended release capabilities. Okay, so that's what EZRA is bringing to them.
Other questions? Comments? Let's take a 10-minute break, and we'll be back here and get the last session completed.